Hello, I'm Dick.
And I'm Eric, and we're the Annuity guys. We're looking at the real cost of retirement and whether or not annuities can be the solution. What do you think, Dick?
Well, I think that annuities could play a big role in it, and I think that the first thing that we have to talk about really is the real cost of retirement, because I think that many times it's underestimated and folks miss some major points.
Oh yeah, everybody knows about the basics, food, shelter, clothing, But after that, are there some things that some people don't necessarily take into account?
Well, I think there are, and I think that there's this stereotypical thought that when you retire, you're going to need less money. And a lot of times that doesn't always work out that way.
I know when I retire, I'm going to lose some weight, so I'll be eating less. So.
Well, in fact, there may be a forced diet plan for a few retirees, But the concerns that folks have when they retire, or the things that they tend to move into, a lot of folks want to take up a hobby, or they want to travel.
Yeah.
There's many things that will sometimes add, at least in the early years, to the expense of the retirement.
Right. You all of a sudden you think, all right, I don't have to go to work today. I can go play golf. I can jump in the car and jump on a plane and take off to Europe. All those things cost money.
They cost money. So.
And inversely, you don't have a paycheck coming in, so you have to basically deplete other assets to be able to enjoy retirement somewhat.
Yes, and there's many different income-producing portions of a portfolio that folks are going to be relying on. Obviously, Social Security, pensions. So many folks have a pension.
Yeah. 401k dollars converted into whatever expendable resource.
Right. And so this is where many folks turn to annuities. And the question is, how do we put those annuities together? What annuities do we go with? Because there's quite a variety, as we talk about regularly. The immediate, the hybrid or fixed index.
Right.
The variable annuity, and the combination of how, and really,
structuring all of
right, and I'm just kind of touching on the surface of it when I talk about those three, but all of the riders that are involved in that type of thing. So structuring those for the retirement and for the retirement income, I think can have a great impact on actually accomplishing.
Oh yeah. When you start looking at retirement costs, if you have an idea of when you're first retired, you're a little young and healthy perhaps, and that's when you want to go out and want to do and spend the time, you want to take the trips, you want to play the golf.
And that's the time to do it.
So you might actually need a little bit more income initially than even percentage-wise, perhaps, than you would later on.
And I want to say something about the later on, because so many times people underestimate the cost of medical concerns later on, and I think it only stands to reason that the more we get the government involved, the more we age, the more the insurance industry costs keep going up, that anything that's considered elective, and I do believe, folks, a lot more things are going to be considered elective when it comes to medical choices. In other words, if you can still live while dragging your leg, or while having the side of your head all swelled up, you're not going to. It's not going to be paid for. But if you've got the money, you can go ahead and get that leg fixed, or you can get your face back to normal.
I don't know what kind of world you're living in.
But those are elective medical procedures.
So obviously, the cost of health care
is going to go way up
medicine,
as you get older.
Insurance, all those pieces come into play and should be considered part of that retirement cost that you have to factor in, and how you're going to control for it. So, and we've talked about annuities as well that have certain additional characteristics, such as long-term care doublers or riders that will help kind of take care of some of those costs if you would ever get into those situations. So that is one of the ways that, and those are typically on more of a hybrid annuity style.
Well, and another area that we talk about quite a bit, Eric, is inflation. And that is so underestimated by individuals. I mean, the article.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got U.S. News and World Report here, and we were talking about in 1980. If you were saying how much am I going to need to retire?
1980 isn't that far back. I mean, folks, you can remember in 1980 the things that you were doing. And you might have been planning for your retirement back then and saying, goodness, by 2013, if I could save what?
Oh, and the number they give out, 350,000. That'll take care of everything for the rest of my life.
Sure,
350,000.
sure. Back in 1980, that would have been a large number.
And now here we are.
What's that? What do we need today to equal that 350,000 in 1980?
It's a cool $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million, and that's what the cost of, or the inflation eroding what you need, what you needed yesterday and what you need today.
And folks, many of you are going to be there still living 30 years from now. And that's basically that time period from 1980 to 2010, 2013. And so if 350,000, it becomes the equivalent of 1 million, we could be in for even a greater inflationary time.
Right.
We could have similar inflation, but it's almost a given that we will have inflation.
Yeah, so actually, working with somebody to structure those pieces to control for inflation is something we take pride in and really factoring into our plans, and we encourage you to work with somebody who takes that into consideration.
That's very good at structuring annuities to give those stepped up income levels and to also help maintain that principle. So that's a fallback position.
Yeah, and the last thing we probably want to incorporate into this is taxes. When you start talking about annuities and start talking about retirement planning,
yes,
taxes is going to be a big part of it. Because I was going to say, if you're a betting man, what do you think, up or down on taxes?
Well, with the way our government is spending, and no end in sight, and no ability to pull back, even to cut the budget by a meager 1% or 0.5% without everybody screaming, we're going over the fiscal cliff or the sequester is going to destroy us. It kind of shows the writings on the wall.
Oh, $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there. Pretty soon you're talking real money.
So the easiest way, folks, for the government to tax us is simply just to devalue our dollar. And that makes our dollar not go as far, and that's what we call inflation. So if inflation for the last 30 to 40 years has run around 4% when you add it all together, what might it do over the next 30 years? So
it's, again, taking into consideration how we can do that, and if that dollar is being eroded by 15%, 20%, 30% going to taxes.
That's right.
Again, structuring something that comes out as perhaps tax-free.
Absolutely.
Definitely part of the planning process.
Can be a huge advantage.
So can annuities help take care of the real retirement costs?
Well, let's say that an annuity can make a real difference. It may not be the only answer, but I think for a portion of the portfolio, it's a very good answer.
Dick, I think you're right.
Thank you.